That's right. Yeah.
If yesterday I was created a new instant that was not captured in update set. Why?
Did you create an update set? Oh, you
Yes,
created what?
I, incident, a new incident.
Okay. So there is a difference between data and there is a difference between configuration. Only configurations will be captured in update set, not the data. When I say data, creating a user record, creating an incident record, creating change, problem, or changing the state. These are all data inside the system, right? But when you say configuration, like changing the layout of the form or creating a new business rule or creating a client script or creating a table, creating a new field, creating notification, all these are configurations which will be captured in updates, right?
Okay,
See,
okay,
creating an incident is a development work, no, right? But creating a
yes,
client script or creating a UI policy is the development work, right? So put it on simple terms, all the development works will be captured in updates.
okay. And one more doubt is
Mhm.
yesterday after done certain changes that you, I mean, the state is changed to complete, right, for exporting XML.
Mhm.
For that, you exported in your instance, I mean, in your personal
Um,
PC, right? In your, I mean,
in my
personal
computer, correct,
store, in your store.
correct,
But
correct.
if I want to share that XML to my colleague or my, I mean, some other persons, how to do that?
Okay, that
How we can
downloaded XML, the downloaded XML, you have to attach in an email or you have to send it in WhatsApp, some other file formatting place. There you have to give them that file. Once they receive that file, they will be able to take care. And if that person is your colleague, and as long as he has access to your developer instance, you can just create a user account for him, give him the credentials. He will be able to download it by himself. Right? Two things.
okay, okay,
One is this way and the other one is that way.
yeah, okay, fine.
Alright. Anything else?
Hi Lakshmi.
Hey, hi.
Actually, I have a concern. While uploading the classes in that Google Drive, can you specify which topics you have covered in that class, and then explain what you are going to tell, and then you can. Yesterday we are doing some exercises. We are unable to find on which class which topic you have covered.
Okay. So if you look at that PDF file, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
chapter 1, let us go through chapter wise, okay? So chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and all is completed.
Yeah.
5 is
But
completed. Hmm.
UA policies you didn't cover that scripting side, and whereas comes to data policies also.
Okay, data policies we did not touch it on actually.
Yeah, but means there is a difference, no? Interlink with the UI policies and data policies, no? So
Yes,
yesterday,
yes. Yes, data policies were not at all started. I just gave you
yeah,
an heads up on what is a data policy versus what is a UA policy.
yeah,
In
yeah.
UA policy, everything is done except for making use of that two places, wherein executive true, executive false, the run scripts. So that involves scripting. So I thought probably after I take client script, it will be more relatable for you. But I'll show you today.
Okay.
I'll show you the scripting part in UA policy today so that that gets covered. Right? So let me share my screen.
Your voice not properly audible.
Okay, is it better now?
No, lot
Is
of
it better?
background is coming.
You're getting noise?
Yes, kind of
Let
fan
me,
is on or crrr.
okay. Let me check my headsets. Probably that could be the problem. Give me a minute. Okay, tell me if it's better now.
still it is having some
little.
disturbance.
Yeah.
How about now?
It's like a fan is on kind of thing is coming.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'm taking up a sample incident. So we'll cover up, the UI policy script sections. And like a recap, I'll tell you right now we are in self-service view. Only because of that, you're able to see limited number of fields in this. When you change it to default view, you will be able to see even more fields in that. To configure all on the right click of the form banner. Okay, so in that, let me look at the UI policies. Okay, so this is something that we did 5 days ago, right? Now, as you should be aware, the UI policies are capable of making a field mandatory, visible, and read only. It is only to this much, then absolutely fine. But if your requirement is little bit extended, as in you need to set the value based on your UI policy, or you need to show an alert message, or you need to show an info message, something around that. You might want to use script. So at that time, there is a related link called Advanced View. You'll have to click that. Yeah. Now, previous testing class we had disabled it. Let us activate it again back. Now let us say that not just it has to make the fields mandatory. Also, I need to give them an alert message stating, "Hey, look, you need to fill up this form in the field called description." So what I'll do is I can see that there is another section called script that got enabled. I can go and enable the run script checkbox. Now it will open up another two fields called executive true and executive false. Right? So what is the meaning of executive true and executive false is, uh, as I told you, there is a checkbox called reverse false, right? So as long as this checkbox is checked, when short description contains SAP sales, when the condition is true, what script it should run, and when the condition does not satisfy, meaning the short description ulta. What is the ulta? Does not contain SAP sales. At that time, the whatever the script that you have written in here should execute. It's recording, right? All right. So I will put up an alert. So you have a lot of script syntax. I can demo you one after the other so that it gets to your mind. So when you want to show an alert as a pop-up or something, so you put ALERT parenthesis, finish up with a semicolon, and inside the parenthesis, probably a double quotes or single quotes doesn't matter. You put whatever message you want to send them, like short description contains sales Hence, description is mandatory. Please fill in before saving the form. Okay. Now, in regards of false, I'm giving does not contain tab cells. Mandatory. Something like this. I click save. So let's test this alert functionality. So as you said, as you saw in UI policy action, it is only capable of setting mandatory, read-only, and visibility, right? So you will not be able to accomplish any alert or info message or setting of values. All that can be done here.
Ma'am, your screen is not visible.
Tell me again.
Your screen is not visible, madam.
Is it for everyone? For me, it says screen is being shared.
No,
No,
it's
it's
visible
fine.
for. So once exit the meeting and once rejoin, bro.
Okay.
Okay. Now, technical note is mandatory by default. Like in right-click configure dictionary, we have kept it as mandatory. Fine. If you remember, instruction is nothing but description, right? Last time we changed the label of description of incident table to instructions. So that is what is it. Now, what is the keyword that they have given? SAP sales. Let me remove that. Then let me remove the word SAP sales. Once they are removed, tells me that short description does not contain SAP sales and description is not mandatory. That's an alert message. Now again, I introduced the word SAP sales in the short description. Now it says short description contains SAP sales. Like whatever the alert message that I've given, that comes up, that comes up only the one that is available in executive true. Any questions with the alert message? So just try to understand the syntax alert, parenthesis, and inside that double quotes and whatever text that you want to place. Now let's add one more client script. Probably we will enforce the system itself to set the value of the description. So before starting with the syntax, all these are form values, right? This is the form. So what is the syntax that is there is an API called glide form. Glide form. In scripting, you would call it as G underscore form, everything in small cases. G underscore form dot. So under that G underscore form dot, you have several methods, right? You have these many methods. Probably I'll explain 5 to 6 and in client script, I will explain the complete set of things. So anything that you want to do in client script, only you have to remember what is the functionality of add decoration, what is the functionality of add error message, what is the functionality of add info message. Only that much is enough to play around with the form level client scripting. Now, probably I will use a method called set values. Here you see set values, right? And okay, so any parenthesis has to finish up with a semicolon. And inside set value, you require two parameters. Which field you want to set, right? So I want to set the field called description. You can either put it in double quotes or single quotes. And afterwards, you enter your field name with the quotes. Now you put up a comma and you say what you want to set it up with. It can be either double quotes or single quotes. So I'm saying that um, something like this. I'm trying to set the value of description with the wordings, details of it, right? So I'm going to give it a save. Now, anytime you change an UI policy is some client-side action, right? You will have to reflect the form, reload the form, only then you have to test it. Otherwise, it will not be reflected right away. Okay. You can see that when the form loaded itself, it got appended with the description, got appended with the keyword, details of the incident, right? So in executive false, I will do similar g underscore form dot set value. It's camel case. V is capital, okay? Double quotes. So here I'll put okay. So same setting of values, but I'm giving the different text. And when you see every time I load the form, that alert message is coming up, right? That is reason is because we have kept on load is true. So let me uncheck that. And I've unchecked on load. And in execute if true, I have kept this alert message and set values. Same wise in executive false, I've kept different alert message and a different setting value of the field description. So let me save this. Using out any save button in the script section will help you to save the entire form. So I'll tell you some components of this script executor. So this one is to maximize your screen, like expand the screen. And this one is to comment. So if you hover itself, it says comment, right? For example, let's say I'm on this line. And if I want to comment, I can use this shortcut. Otherwise, you can just, put double slash, which is nothing but a comment. In HTML, you have comments like this, right? Like you put it comment like this, right? Similarly, in JavaScript, you use comment like this, a double slash is what we call it as a comment. If you want to comment out single lines, you use double slash, double slash. But imagine you have 100 lines of code. Among that, you want to comment 50 lines of code. How do you comment the whole set is slash star and finish up with star and slash, right? So whatever is there between these two slash star, everything is considered as being commented. Now, as I told you, this shortcut is for single line commenting and again uncommenting. And this one is to format the code as in, let's say it's like this. Like it's in different order, okay? Now you do a control A, select everything, and you try to click on this. So it formats code, meaning it brings back everything to this line. If there are if loop, multiple curly braces, it will format the code and it will bring it in a proper aligned fashion. So that is the importance of this format code. And this one is replace. Like I'll repeat. So this one is replace. So I click on this. So I try to replace the word short, and then I give enter, and it asks me with, right. So I want to replace short with text. I want to replace the word short wherever it is there. I want to replace it with the keyword text. And after giving, I just give enter. So it will show me one place or after the other, wherever the field is there. Otherwise, if I feel like, oh, I want to do it for all, I'll say all. So it gets replaced everywhere. Okay. And this one is replace and this one is replace all. And this one is to use a search, a simple search, but this will search only inside your script section. Here you have only 3 lines of code, which is fine. When you have 100 lines of code, this is definitely important. And this one is like search, when you do a search. So let's say I'm looking for the alphabet T. So you might find multiple, right? So you want to check next, next, next. As I click on this next, you can see that the T, right? So right now this is where it's dark colored. It pushes to the next. Normal like your browser search. and this is again a toggle, and this is a help. Like if you want to understand what are the shortcuts I have for each thing, you can use this. And this one checks for your if the syntax is correct or something. After you've written like 30 to 40 lines of code, if your syntax is right, this one checks for your syntax. And this one is a mini save. Like as I told you, there's a right click save, there's an update which also does the same job, and you have something called save here, you have something called save. So whichever option do you use, it all saves the same thing, nothing in difference. So to recollect, I've disabled on load because I don't want this to be happening when the form loads, and I've kept a set value on executive true and a different set value on executive false. Let me reload this form because what we have written is a UI policy and it will get reflected only for the refreshed forms, not the forms that are already opened and existing in the tabs. Details of non-SAP sales incident. And again, I introduce this word, okay? SAP sales app. You can see that the description is changed, right? And let us say that I have a condition short description contains SAP sales. Inside that, I want to put another condition. For example, let me write the algorithm for you. If um, short, short description contains SAP sales but does not contains the word accessible, then set the description as details of non-accessible. Okay, I'm writing up the algorithm first, and after that I'll explain you how do we convert it to a script. So next one is else if short description contains SAP sales and also contains the word accessible, right? Okay. So whatever UI policy that you have given is to just look at the wording SAP sales only, nothing much. But inside the SAP sales only alone, if it contains the word accessible, you have to set the description with a certain text. If it does not contain the word accessible, you will have to set up with a different text. If you have a requirement inside a requirement, you will not be able to accomplish in the when to apply itself. At that time, you might end up writing an extra script inside this place. So this is now we have set as an algorithm, and you know how to set the value also, but how to build scripting logic on this, right? So the syntax is if, right? If, okay, short description, right? Now let me tell you. Uh, So you are using the set value method to set the value of a field, right? Now, how do you get the value? Get the value is as simple. G underscore form dot get value, right? G underscore form dot get value. Get value of whatever field that you wanna, read the value. So I'll put short underscore description. Now I have got the value, but the value that I have read or got it, I have to store it some variable. So I'll put variable, where is nothing but variable, some variable name, random name that I can give. my variable short disk is equal to, right? So I am reading the value of short description from the form, glided form. From the glided form, I'm trying to get the value of the short description, and I'm storing it against my custom or just my variable called my short disk, right? You can just put AAA, anything. I'll put SB. It can be uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter, but it should not be with space. Like you should not put it like short space description. Because as you can see, this is in blue color and this got into black color, right? So if you want to use two separate words, probably use an underscore, not even hyphen or anything, no semicolon, nothing. Whatever is accepted is uppercase, lowercase, and underscore. Only these three are accepted when you try to keep a name for your variable. Now you've got this. So let us try to build the logic. If short disk, right? I will put it without quotes. Why? Because it is a dynamic variable. It is no more a static text, right? Now, if short description contains, right? There's a difference between contains and equal to. So if I try to say if the short description is equal to test, then I can put this equal to operator. But my current requirement is if it contains, right? In ServiceNow scripting, contains means index of. That's again in camel case. The first word will be in small case and the second word starting will be in uppercase. Here O alone is in uppercase. So short description dot index of parentheses, and there you put try to put up a static string which is nothing but the word accessible, right? Greater than minus 1. So what is great? Oh, what is greater than minus 1 is, what are the numbers that are greater than minus 1? 0 is greater than minus 1, 1 is greater than minus 1, 2. Any positive integers are greater than minus 1, right? So it means set true. If that is positive, it means true, right? If it is negative, it is false. The condition is false. So I'll repeat. So we're trying to see if my short description, that is something that you have got. The word accessible is true. Is true meaning greater than minus 1. Greater than minus 1 meaning 0, 1, 2, 3. All these integers are greater than minus 1. Also they are positive. Positive means true, right? If it is greater than minus 1, then right? So curly braces. Whatever you want to perform at that place, you put up inside a curly braces. So I will put glide form dot set value of description as details of accessible SAP sales instead, right? Otherwise means else again curly braces, same thing, just I'm going to change the text to non-accessible. So I can see some error message kind of. So if I over it says mixed spaces and tab, that's absolutely fine. So the moment you can do control A and you do a format code, system aligns it, and that's not even an error message, that is like a warning message. That warning message gets vanished off because system automatically aligned it or formatted that code, right? So any doubt with regard to getting value and setting value? So we have seen only these two, right? In scripting you have lot more. uh, in client level scripting you have lot more the other methods called add declaration, add error message, add info message, all of that. So every single thing I will explain you when we cover the client script sections in detail, which would be probably tomorrow's session of this ones. But otherwise, to give you an idea, whatever script that you can use in client script, that you can absolutely put it here and obviously put it with some logics. when and there required. So I'm going to save it. I'll demo whatever we have done now. I will reload the form again because again this is a UI policy. Now I will remove the word accessible. Right? I had removed the word accessible. So you could see that this is with the details of non-accessible SAP sales incident, right? Now I will again introduce the word accessible up here. Okay, I am supposed to get the, oh fine. The accessible spelling that I've given here is wrong. That is the problem. Okay. Now I had removed the word accessible. You can see that the description got pasted like this. Again, I will introduce the word called accessible. Okay, so I'm expecting it to print my description as details of accessible SAP sales incident, but it still doesn't change. Let me try and debug what is wrong with that. So what I can do is I can put alert inside alert description. So here if you see I will not be putting up a double quotes. Reason is because here I'm putting double quotes is because it's a static string, right? Whereas here it's dynamic, meaning it is a variable. Whatever is the data I'm reading from this variable, that only I'm printing. So I don't have to put double quotes or single quotes, nothing. Now I want to read the short description and also I want to see alert. Okay, so this will print me the, give me an alert of the short description. This is going to give me the alert as true or false inside. Let me save this. So generally, you can use a alert message as a debugging method in when you're developing scripts as well. Okay, right now I have removed the word accessible. Okay, I'm trying to remove the word accessible here. This is the first info message that we have kept here, which is fine. And it gives me false, right? False is because uh, here we are validating. If the condition satisfies, it will give you return true. Otherwise, it will return false. So here we've got a false, which is fine. I'll try to introduce the word accessible. Okay, it isn't changing, but I can check this later and tell inform you. But as you could see, this first alert brings you the short description text and convert. Sometimes you could be ending up reading an integer value, but you want to compare it with the text. At that time, this dot to string will help you. And again, we are validating here, right? So in validating, we wanted to do an extra validation. So like to be double sure, we're trying to convert whatever we have received in short description and with converting it to toString, and then we are checking the does the text that we have brought and after that we have converted into string, does it contains the exact keyword accessible. So index of means contains. So if it is great contains, then return something, otherwise return something else. Any questions in this?
Ma'am, both script and when to apply, can we run both parallelly? Like in when to apply, we can put mandatory and script, we can put these,
Yes.
we can set
If you
value.
Yes, if you see, these two are actually working parallelly. Whenever this condition satisfies, so it will also, in addition to that, it also process whatever you have written in your UI policy action. So it happens in parallel. So, but just that you will have to make sure that you are trying to set the description as mandatory true, and you should not try to make the description as mandatory false inside this, so that it will conflict. Whatever statement you're giving here will conflict here, so that might become an issue sometimes. Sometimes for some people, the order of the execution will this one will first execute and this one will second. So
Yes, yes,
uh, whenever the condition satisfies, the script and the UI policy actions runs in parallel, but the order is not exactly script first or UI policy action second. Not like that. It can run in any order. Uh, so both the content, the script section also executes, and the UI policy action, whatever you have defined or declared, also executes. You just have to make sure that you do not put contrary statements, like exactly opposite statements in your policy action in script.
oh, oh, got it.
All right. So with that, your UI policy gets over, but there's a lot of thing to explain in script. That will be covered in the client script section, right? Um, Any questions with UI policy with regard to on, load, inherit, global, reverse, or false conditions, UI policy actions, and then script. Okay, I forgot to mention one thing. So you see something called run script in UI type, right? There you see desktop. Desktop is something that you understand. Any browser version in the laptop or computer machine. All is a script which I want to work in both the places, regardless of this one mobile or service portal, right? And let me tell you, um, so you have everybody have an app called ServiceNow in Play Store. You would find it in both Android and in your iPhones as well, in your Android phones and in your iPhones as well. Just look for the app called ServiceNow. You will see a lot of duplicate app they have built. Just look for the ones which has multiple downloads, and there will be some kind of a a verified note mentioned there. Download that app, and in that app you put this instance name and put your user ID and put your password. You will be able to log into this account, this instance, this account. Similarly, your own instances, you will be able to log in. Similarly, company instances also, you will be able to log in. Let us say you work for an XYZ company. So you put xyz.servicenow.com, and then you give your username and password in that app. You will be able to log in, right? Now, from a developer perspective, to test something from the mobile functionality, uh, I mean, you need not necessarily take up a phone and see how does the functionality looks in phone. Instead, the URL is there, right? So we have put dev so and so dot servicenow.com slash dollar dollar m dot do. Dollar m represents mobile, dot do represents like execute. So you would be able to see the mobile version of this instance. Give it a time to refresh. So if you log into your mobile after downloading that application, you will see exactly same like this in your mobile phone, and on the top right corner you will have option to log out. This switch to desktop is available because system recognized that we have used $m.do and we are doing. Otherwise, the switch to desktop will not be available in your phone. Except for that, everything is same as you see in your phone. And here I give more details, so I will be able to update or modify any of my user data. Right now I can save this up. This is taking some time because photos does not get rendered easily in the mobile version, and since we have the photo on the form layout in our user profile, it is taking some time to load on that. And all these can be done, and you have a save button if you want to change something and save it. And like if you want to jump into the menus again. Now this one is your favorites. This one is your normal search navigation. You can see that I am being an admin. I am not able to see as much of data as I see in my uh, native interface. So this is what you call it as native interface, right? Native. And this is mobile interface. There is another interface called portal interface, which I'll explain in a minute. So in native interface, you can see that there's lot of modules, like nothing less than 100, right? That's what I feel. But in mobile interface, I see probably some 20 to 25, only that much, right? Now I will also tell you how this is handled. Here you can see that my custom table non-extending, my custom table extending, all these are also coming up. User vaccination data and other out-of-box module, other existing company modules, everything is there. So obviously you can do whatever you want to check your requested items. So everything on phone itself you can access. So this is with mobile version, right? Now you're writing a client script or a UI policy script, and you want that to be worked only on desktop version, not on mobile version, you will just give it as desktop. But if you want your script to be working on mobile only, you will give it as mobile. If you want your script to be working on both the versions, you will give all, right? Any questions with how do you access mobile version from your desktop or probably install it in your phone? Any questions on that? Right. Now, I have told you what is a desktop version, what is a mobile version. Let me tell you what is a service portal version, right? So in left navigation, if you type service portal, so here's something that you created as service portal home, right? So you click upon there, it takes you to a new fresh kind of a customer page. So this is what you call it as a portal. This is primarily given to people who are end users, nothing but whose role is just to raise tickets like incidents, raise concerns as incidents, raise request as request catalogs, or probably read through knowledge articles, or probably approve the subordinates tickets, probably directors or some basic level employees. So if their functionality is very limited in ServiceNow, they are all expected to use the portal. Like they don't have to worry what is in the left navigation, nothing, right? They have probably some 6 buttons on the top and some 4 to 5 modules on the content bar. They can access whatever is required for them inside that. And if they can't find it, they can use the search option. They do not have to worry about like, oh, what is this field, that, this, nothing. So this is what you call it as a portal view. So again, enabling this will also make sure your so same incident form you can still view it in your portal, right? So at that time, this validation should happen, and would you want to the script to run during the portal also? At that time, you give it as mobile/service portal. Now I want my script to be executable at all places, so I'll just give all, and I'll do a right click save. Further questions?
Uh, Ma'am, is indentation matters here in script?
If indentation is,
Is indentation matters in script spaces?
it will not throw you an error or such thing, um, but always do the job.
Okay.
See here, you can see that like I can keep it like this. One, I can keep it like this. Doesn't matter. But what you'll have to be sure is like this and this cannot be on a different line, right? Like these cuts are a problem. Otherwise, these are all it's fine. It is not an error or something, but it will spoil the aesthetics or probably debugging measurement of the script. So that's why you do, after you work on the script, don't worry about anything. Do a control A and you do a format code. The format code will take care of your indentations.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So as per chapter wise, after UI policy, you have data policies. Um, but I want to explain data policies probably after business rules, because as I told you, client scripts and UI policies are UI. UI means user interface, right? Client means of course user interface or client side. Both are same family. It acts only on the client level. Policies work on the server level. Uh, business tool means it's a server side. It's also a server side scripting. Um, I can show you as probably a heads up. In data policy, you do not have anything much extra. It's exactly same as how you have in your client script, except that I think I explained to this session to this particular batch already. How this checkboxes work. So if you want the same data policies to be working on as in client level also, you will enable this. And in terms of integrations, if you want this, validations to be done on integrations also, then enable this. And import sets means Excel upload of data. So that's what you probably call an import set, or probably from integration you're trying to upload bulk data. So that you call it as import sets. At that time, you want this validation or the data policy to be running. You will put this. Now, so it says state is one of resolved or closed at that time. Close quotes and close notes. Close quotes is nothing but resolution quotes. Close notes is nothing but resolution notes. These are mandatory, right? Now let me do one thing. I will change the state to resolved. And these two are mandatory. This is the reason is because this checkbox is true. Let me uncheck this and save it. Right now I'm on data policy, okay? I will change the status to resolved. Now I have changed the status to resolved, but you no longer see the resolution code and resolution notes mandatory. The reason is because your data policy is still active, the functionality which will utilize this particular configuration, the condition validation and this policy rules execution on the client level, right? I have unchecked this. So it will um, no longer be done on the client level. But however, I'm trying to say that I will not be able to save this without filling up these two fields. So I'm trying to save this. You can see that data policy exception. The following fields are mandatory: resolution codes and close notes, right? So this means that data policy works on the server side, meaning when I change it to resolved, I did not have any restriction to fill up, to save this form. The reason is because all this, what I'm doing right now is client side, right? But the moment I give right click save or the moment I give update or resolve any of these button clicks, what happens is the form is getting tried to get saved in the server side, meaning to the database. The database is trying to save the form. At that time comes in the picture your data policy. So your data policy says that when the state is one of resolved or closed, it is mandatory for these two things to be mandatory, right? So in out of box, they have kept it here also, UI policy uses UI policy on client because this requirement should work on client side also. So let us have like this. So that is how they've kept it. Example, now that I have enabled this one, right? So you can see that when I changed my state, it will automatically, let me refresh. Is this saved? Yes, it is saved. So just now I've refreshed. So I'll put it as resolved. Now I can see resolution code and resolution notes are mandatory. But imagine a developer goes and uh, imagine these fields are never available on the form levels. So those are available. There are several sections, right? Incident is one top section. Underneath you have three subnodes, related records and resolution notes, resolution information. So whatever right now we're looking for are available in resolution information. Okay, from the resolution information, I'll remove the resolution notes and resolution code, and I'm going to save it. Now, even if I change it to resolved, since it is not at all available in the form, right? So you could end up in a scenario like this. It is client level mandatory, but however, if the form value itself is not available in the layout, then client script will not work, right? At that time, your data policy will come into picture and it will save you. So when you try to save, it will still show up an error message, right? So data policy is not something that is dependent on the client side. It doesn't matter you have that value on your layout or not. It doesn't matter. When you save that form in the database level, like when there is an entry or an update received at the database level, the system is going to check, look out for the data policies and look out for the matching condition and accordingly evaluate the rules available and enforce them, right? So any questions with this data policy thing? I will repeat it the same exactly as UI policy, but extra thing is that data policy works only when the form is saved. But if you want the data policy to be working on the client side as well, you just have to enable this checkbox true. Otherwise, it does the exactly same job as UI policy, a client level UI policy. But just that the difference is the validation and the enforcement of the data policy rules happens only when the form is saved, not when the form is loaded or not when the value is changed, nothing. Because the loading of the form and all is client level, and um, changing of values and all is client level. At that time, we do not bother. Only, and if you want the data policy also to be functional as a UI policy, you do not have to create a separate UI policy as such. You just enable this checkbox, it will do the purpose. Right? Any questions? All right. So if you look at the exercises sheet in our ServiceNow live, that particular PDF. So as of today, we've covered 10 classes, 10 chapters, 10 chapters, and we have covered here and there from the other chapters as well. But as we go through the particular syllabus, we will look at them in detail. So tomorrow we'll go the same syllabus. Tomorrow I'll take metrics and related list, and probably if time permits, SLA definitions as well. And if you see in chapter 15, probably after 4 classes, we're supposed to take update set, but I took them a little earlier because I want you to understand whatever the development you do, I want you to do it with the update set so that it gets captured in your update set, right? But there are obviously few more things to add up to your update set topic, which can be covered later. So if there isn't any questions for today, I think we should be good to close the session for today. And by the way, I will try to restore the form. Alright guys, thanks for joining the session for today. Bye, take care.